8:15. Well, it's the time of year when we spend more money than we should. And it's not to help when we're pressured into buying things we weren't planning on buying in the first place.
Well, telemarketers and door-to-door salespeople have some tricks up their sleeves while trying to make a sale. So let's learn what they are. So next time they come knocking, we're ready. Dr. Paul Harrison is a marketing guru from Deakin University. Paul, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure, Mel. Hi.
Now, can you give us a bit of an insight into some of the techniques that telemarketers and door-to-door sellers use?
Well, one of the things that they do is try to put you under pressure, and when you're under pressure, what tends to happen is that you don't make rational decisions. So they use techniques like you must sign today, or if you miss out on this opportunity, you know, you'll be in big trouble. And that whole pressure means that you haven't got the ability to think the way that you would normally like to think.
Now, the fact that they always seem to come around dinner time, is that deliberate to add to the pressure? We're all a bit flustered and don't know whether we're Arthur or Martha?
That's exactly right, Koshi. It's this technique which means that because you're so distracted by a whole bunch of other things, you don't really think as clearly as you normally would like to think. And most of the time we think that we're pretty rational when we think about stuff, but put anybody under pressure, have the noise of the cooking going on in the background or the kids being, you know, distracting, and you really won't make the kind of decisions that you would like to think that you would make under those situations. So
do a lot of people actually fall for it because they are busy, as opposed to telling them to go away and come another time or whatever? And is guilt play a bit of a part? Do we feel bad if we turn someone away?
Well, there's a theory in psychology which is called reciprocity, which basically means we think that if somebody gives something to us or does something for us, we should give something in return. And so there's this whole kind of thing that goes on, which is that they try to get you to engage with them and invest in the relationship. And as time goes on, you actually find it harder and harder to withdraw from the discussion. And ultimately what happens is that you feel obligated to do the right thing and at least listen to them. The longer that they hold on to you, and this is a tried and true technique, the longer that they hold on to you, the more that they can engage you, the more likely it is that you're going to actually participate in the process. And that's whether they know the theory behind it or not, they know that that's what works. In psychology, we call it investment theory. The more you invest in it, the more likely it is that you're going to find it harder to withdraw.
No, that's interesting. So it obviously works. Does it work better than, say, junk mail or ads in a paper or something like that?
Much, much better, and that's why they put a lot of resources into it. The whole purpose with something like junk mail or letters in the mail is that it's kind of unsolicited. You're not actually having a personal relationship with anybody, and the moment, I mean, humans are naturally social creatures. The moment that we actually start interacting with somebody, we, to some extent, particularly if they represent an institution like a gas company or an electricity company, we actually trust them. We trust them a lot more than we normally would trust a stranger in the street, because they come with this level of authority because they are representing a brand that we come across in our day-to-day lives. And so this interaction with people is going to make it a lot harder for us to kind of say, no, I'm not interested, or something like that.
So is there any way to tell if it's a dodgy company or not? Because, I mean, I don't know, I sort of wonder sometimes. Anyone can rock up to my door.
Yeah, they can. Look, I always think that if you've got a gut feeling that things aren't going right or that it sounds a bit dodgy, then you probably need to work on your gut. And I think one of the things that people need to think about is ultimately the person is there not to solve their problem, not to make them feel better, but to sell them something. Yeah. And if they go into that interaction, more likely to say, well, I might wait a bit, or give me a brochure or something like that. And one of these techniques is that what you do is that you say, if I can put a stop on the spiel, so to speak, I can actually think about it a little bit more rationally. But the last thing they want you to do is walk away, because they know that you'll have time to think about it.
And Paul, what about, I've got an email from Chris saying a friend of his has a glass panel near his front door, and he's got a sign on it that advises people selling things that he's not interested. And I know that the Consumer Action Law Centre in Melbourne's also giving away do not knock stickers. Yeah. Do people have to abide by those?
Well, technically what happens is that if you ask a person not to knock on your door, then they shouldn't. The kind of issue is whether the person reads the sign first, and therefore they shouldn't knock if they see that sign beforehand. It's the same with no junk mail that you put on your front, your letterbox and things like that. It comes down to the company being a responsible and ethical company and responding to those things. I mean, the thing is that it's not all bad. You know, we actually do get you know, good opportunities when we're given things or when we talk to people, and we might miss out on that opportunity, but it's up to people to make that decision. And I often say that if, look, in the last 3 months, say, you've had a few people knock on your door, you felt that it probably isn't the right thing, then maybe get one of these do not knock stickers or no junk mail and stick it up and see if you feel, if your life is empty as a result of nobody knocking on your door.
Well, you know, no one admits to buying door-to-door, but obviously we do. That's why they keep coming round. Paul, thank you for that. Nice to catch up.
Pleasure. All righty, see you.
16 past 8 on the